The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you.
Jesus said to his disciples, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he cuts away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes to make it bear even more. You are pruned already by means of the word that I have spoken to you. Make your home in me as I make mine in you. As a branch cannot bear fruit all by itself, but must remain part of the vine, neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me, with me in him, bears fruit in plenty. For cut off from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is like a branch that has been thrown away. He withers. These branches are collected and thrown on the fire, and they are burnt. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, you may ask what you will, and you shall get it. It is to the glory of my Father that you should bear much fruit, and then you will be my disciples. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
For this morning, I would like to take up the first reading that we heard earlier for our reflection. Not that the Gospel and the second reading are unimportant, they are all connected, but I would like to take up this first reading because it's taken from the 9th chapter of the Acts of the Apostles. It's about the conversion of St. Paul. His Hebrew name, of course, is Saul. And today's reading is just the excerpt after his conversion. And we know that what happened before that, how Saul went around persecuting all the followers of Jesus. And after his conversion, his whole life changed. I think when we take up this 9th chapter of the Acts of the Apostles, we can learn from the life and the conversion of St. Paul, how, when we are united with Jesus, we can do great things in his name and for the glory of the Father. And so what can we learn from this 9th chapter of the Acts of the Apostles? First, never give up. Never give up. Paul was an outstanding figure in the foundation and the formation of the early church, the early Christian communities. His writings to the various groups, to the Romans, to the Thessalonians, to the Corinthians, to the Galatians, he wrote to them to inspire them how to live a good Christian life. And his writings are still for us today to help us, encourage us, inspire us to grow as Christians in our own lives. Paul was, of course, a terrifying persecutor of the early followers of Jesus. He even approved the killing, the martyrdom of Stephen. And we are told that he went around breathing threats. He had letters to arrest all those who believed in Jesus. And on his way to Damascus, something changed in him. He encountered Jesus on that road. And suddenly, everything for him changed. The power and the grace of Jesus working in and through Paul brought about the growth of the church. We heard at the end of it all, peace returned, And the churches started to grow in numbers, and people were living now good lives. That conversion of Paul brought about a dramatic change, a radical change in the early church. And we can see then that God's grace is so powerful that it can change a persecutor into the proclaimer of the good news. So never, never give up. The life and the conversion of St. Paul teach us that grace is sufficient. And no matter what we have done, yes, no matter what we have done, God's grace is still more powerful than all our actions. One of the saddest things that we hear in the sacrament of reconciliation is that people say, I don't think I can be forgiven for all that I've done. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not in the state of grace. Dear friends, look and learn from the life and conversion of St. Paul. Through grace, Saul changed completely. And he was then entrusted with a mission to bring the good news of Jesus to others. So never give up on ourselves, never give up on the grace of Jesus Christ. He is that true vine, and we are his branches, and we draw life from him as long as we remain united in him. That's the first lesson we can learn. Never give up on the grace of Jesus Christ. Secondly, we hear that the early followers in Jerusalem, they were very suspicious of Saul. In fact, it stated they were afraid of him. He already had a very bad reputation. And wherever he went, people were very skeptical. Who is this person? Now, here comes another character, an exemplary character in the person of Barnabas. Barnabas means son of encouragement. And we see how Barnabas takes Saul under his wings, and he introduces Saul to the rest of the community. It is through the encouragement of Barnabas, the support of Barnabas, that Saul is accepted as one of them, one in the community. And this is the second lesson we learn, that in the community, in the church, we are never alone. We are never alone. There are always others to encourage us, help us, support us, and guide us, just as Barnabas did for Saul. Saul's conversion was very personal. It was his encounter with Jesus. But for him to be part of the community, part of the church, he needed another person. He needed Barnabas. And once Barnabas introduced him to the rest, Paul began to preach fearlessly and boldly. He was even able to help to convert many of the other peoples. He even argued with the Hellenists, those who were non-believers. His arguments were so convincing that they wanted to even kill him. So, dear friends, in the community, we are never alone. We always have someone to encourage us, help us, and guide us. And most importantly, we always have the Lord Jesus with us. As he said in the gospel, make your home in me as I make mine in you. We are never alone in the church, in the community, and we thank God for all those who have helped us along our own faith journey. We are never alone in the church. That's the second lesson. And the third lesson from the 9th chapter of the Acts of the Apostles is this, that we never keep silent. We never keep silent. The good news has been poured into our hearts. We have received it, and now it's time for us to share it. Now, yes, Paul went around preaching boldly and fearlessly, And it does not mean that we now have to go around our neighborhood, knocking on the doors, bashing the Bible on people, quoting to them book, chapter, and verse. That's not proclaiming the good news. In fact, if anything, it often drives people away. People don't want that kind of proclamation of the good news. What do people want? They want to see the good news alive. And that's why we heard in the second reading, St. John in his letter, he said, our love must not be just mere words or talk. It must be alive. It must be active. And when people see this love of God in us through our actions, through our behavior, through our attitudes, through the way we relate, we are proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ. And we cannot keep silent. We cannot just say, I believe in God, I experience the love of Jesus, and then hide in our homes without sharing that with others around us. So this is the third lesson that we can learn. Paul, once he was converted, once he experienced Jesus, he went forth and he shared the good news to the point that people even threatened his life. Hopefully we don't experience that, but we can. We can go forth now and let our love be seen, not just in words, but in action. So, dear friends, take up today's first reading today, the 9th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. It's a whole story of conversion, and in it we learn that we can never ever give up on the grace of God working in our lives as it worked in Paul's life. We are never alone in the church because we'll always have a Barnabas with us, someone to encourage us, support us along the way. And once we have experienced this good news of Jesus Christ, who has come to save us, then we go forth and share that love with one another.